Oh, yeah. Bless and love, my lords. Welcome to another Red Lion Live interview. I'm joined today here by Dudley, our co host, and Foodmasku.
Hello, hello.
Welcome, gentlemen. How's it
What are
going?
we having for dinner tonight?
Hey, Foodmasku, you are muted.
Yeah,
Yep, I'm just giving Dudley time to
All
say hello.
right,
Hi,
all
everyone.
right. Welcome.
welcome. Yeah, so what are you serving today? What's
Well, I just went out and grabbed some coconut buns and some coffee. Like Red Lion told me to go out and get some food, so I did. I didn't steal it.
You're gonna put it on your face before you eat it, huh?
Yeah. You can't see what I'm doing, so yeah. Let's say yes, I will.
All right, what an absolute pleasure to have you on the show, and thank you so much for joining us. We have been chatting for over a year now since you came into the scene. I really loved your art, and an absolute pleasure to meet you finally.
Thank you. It's so lovely speaking with you. I remember you had to wake up really early your time to just mint my pieces, and I just always appreciated that. And I think you got into a few fights with some of my earlier collectors as well.
Yeah. When it was all hype and all of that, I really wanted a lot of food mascus, and yeah, I had to make new wallets and buy them and ship them over to my original wallet. But I came into the Discord and I said, okay, this is me. I'm not doing anything illegal.
No,
So.
yeah, I appreciate that. It was such a fun experience, and it was really nice also seeing somebody on the other side of the world, like appreciating my art as a New Yorker. It was great. Thank you.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. It was something really different, and I really vibed with it. But why don't you go ahead and tell us your origin story?
So, Foodmasku started in April of 2020 during the first month of lockdown here in New York City. And I actually was stuck in the country because I was renewing my passport to go back to finish a Fulbright in Indonesia. And then everything shut down, and I was on a Zoom call. And during the Zoom call, it was very depressing because all our shows were being canceled, and somebody got on and they had a filter that made them look like a pickle. And they couldn't turn it off and they were embarrassed. I was having my dinner, which was a kale salad. So I took a piece of kale, I put it on my face, and I said, "Hey, I have a filter on as well." And I heard laughter for the first time in a month. And then they asked me, "What are you going to wear tomorrow?" And I started wearing face masks every day out of food, and it went viral on Instagram. I think one video first got about 1,600,000 views. The next video got 3.5 million views. And from then on, people started stealing my content and posting it online as their own because that's what people do on the internet. You can ask my friend Chris Torres down there, Nyan Cat Chris, because it happens all the time. So I looked up online, how do I own something digital? And it was November of 2021. No, November 2020. And I think Beeple was releasing something. So I remember I follow Beeple. What is this NFT stuff he's doing? And I minted my first one and it sold within 48 hours. And I just kept minting and it just snowballed. And I think by the time you found me, Red Lion, I was already on Known Origin, and I became the top selling artist in terms of volume in 2021 of Known Origin. And it's just been such an amazing experience. People have just been so lovely. Shout out to all my friends down there. And yeah, it's just great also meeting people, like I said, who appreciates my art because sometimes it gets a little frustrating and lonely, like not knowing who actually likes my work and not knowing where my work goes to after it's been collected. So NFTs have been amazing in that regard.
Oh, all right. Lovely to hear, man. I remember all of that. I was putting alarm clocks at the time to mint your stuff, and yeah, it was exciting. I stopped this practice since then because it shoots my anxiety levels to the fucking moon.
Yeah, it was
But
not healthy for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, it was not healthy. But I remember on Known Origin, you were putting out 100 Foodmaskus, and it was 5 editions of each. And yeah, they were going out really, really quick, and the creations are amazing. I invite everyone to go to Known Origin and look at these works. They are spectacular, you know. And did it sort of become like a challenge after it became famous? Did people say, I bet you cannot do this, or I bet you cannot do that, and then you went and did it?
Yes, actually, that's how it started because people started saying, like, I bet you can't put lasagna on your face. So I had to learn how to make lasagna and put it on my face. And then it was a fun challenge. Once in a while, it became a little bit unsafe. Like one time, somebody asked me, "You can't make boba tea?" You know, a lot of people down there know that I love boba tea, and I did it. And I think it was just it was difficult putting boba together on thread to make it into a mask. And the one unsafe mask I created was made out of mashed potatoes because somebody asked for that. And I remember putting it on my face and trying to be safe, putting little holes where I would breathe out of. But as soon as I poured mushroom gravy on it, there's something about the starchiness of the mashed potatoes with the consistency of gravy that it became this kind of non-Newtonian fluid. And it was a liquid, but also it turned solid. And I couldn't get it out of my nose. And it was just stuck in there. And I almost suffocated. But fortunately, I was able to get it out.
Oh, oh my God, that's so gnarly. But it's also really, really funny, and your art has, uh, and you know it for sure, big elements of virality, and people like to share, people like to love. How did you develop the recipe to become that, or as you said, it just sort of like developed itself over time?
Well, I think actually part of the recipe of my weird success is I'm very much a niche of a niche, right? I know that there aren't that many people who really appreciate performance art, which is what I consider myself doing. And then within that smaller circle, there is also a smaller circle of performance artists who work in social media. And shout out to my contemporaries like Jan Hakan Eriksson, who blows up balloons with knives, and David Henry Nobody.
I own his Genesis after your suggestion. I remember he minted his Genesis, and you were like, you tagged me, and I immediately bought it, and I still have it. I think I have the one he placed a bunch of chips on the ground, and then he rolled over them.
You have his Genesis. What a legend. He is such an amazing artist. Yes. And he really helped me out in the beginning because I was unsure as an artist going into social media and using it as a medium, but he was just so supportive. And he also got a lot of flack for going into NFTs very early. So we also had to get onto Instagram and like protect him a lot. So it was a really crazy experience. But yeah, it's so cool that you have the Genesis piece. That's amazing that you support him that way.
You mentioned performance art. I would like to zoom in there. There is not, as you said, there are some of your peers and contemporaries, but there's not a lot of people paying attention right now to performance art, to performance arts in NFTs. Um, However, it's something extremely exciting, and a lot of performance arts are highly regarded, you know, as classics or conceptual art pieces. Do you think this will change, and you guys are the first wave to bring it to light with the genesis of the NFTs?
Oh, of course. I think actually for two reasons that the performance arts and performance artists are really going to make a big splash in NFT scenes. It's because number one, all performance artworks are ephemeral. As soon as we get it finished, it's over, right? But the crazy thing also is it's it's sort of a good response to the debate right now on artificial intelligence, because a lot of people talk about are these tools actually tools to create art, and how do you know who the artist is? And let me tell you, as a performance artist, like I've been hearing these a lot. Like this is something I hear all the time. Like, is it art? You know, or is it actually, just somebody rolling around on the floor on chips? And I think, yeah, I think making that commentary is very important. And I think actually a performance art can be a good way to critique a lot of the status quo. And I think some of my peers would also say that it can be a response to artificial intelligence and the idea that maybe machines are creating these images, and it's questioning where the talent is and what the concept is and what the art is. So that's why I think it's very important. And again, the ephemeral part, like, as soon as I finish something, it's over. If I'm lucky, like what I do, I can take a photograph of it and then I can put it in the blockchain. But the real thing that tokenizes, that I truly believe in, is not the image itself, but rather the concept of it and the aspect that I created that mask. So that's what I actually think I tokenize.
You broke up a little bit there at the end, but you mentioned that it takes a lot of time. So how does your process looks like? I mean, obviously you have to cook, or you take it, you order takeaway. How does it work?
Yes, it actually depends on the project. The first project I did was 90 days of food mask in quarantine. So I didn't leave my house at all for 3 months. And I did go out to get groceries and come back in the last uh, half of that quarantine. But I basically had to work with what I had. So, and I didn't order any takeout at the time also, because I think a lot of the restaurants were either closed or I wasn't able to get to them. So I made all the food myself in that series. And I would, at that time, make the food. And actually, it was so experimental. I just put it on my face and I don't know what works and what didn't work. That was when the whole mashed potato debacle happened. So that was very experimental. Then I did another series where it was the 100-day series, which is the one on known origin. And by then I had finessed a little bit of my style. So I knew how to work with food better as a medium. But it was still very experimental. I, however, was able to also play around with the images, because I started to get a little bit more traction on Instagram. And Instagram influencers have a very specific style, and they also have a very specific way of looking and things like that. So I made sure that was part of the photographs themselves. And then after that, because I was actually Facebook Meta chose my photos to advertise Meta. Specifically, they put me on a billboard in Shoreditch in London, which is like the Williamsburg of London. It's really cool. And I was able to take the money I made off of that and invest in myself and got a good, nice camera. So the images after that got even more unbelievably, crisp. And I was able to create the Delectables after that, which is a project where I took photos of myself and then photos of food, and I combined them into the first generative photo project on Ethereum. I worked with two other artists, Farah and Tone Soccer. Oh, shout out to Farah down there. And we worked with a developer crew from the visitors, and we created the first photo generative project on Ethereum. It was such an amazing process.
Yeah, I remember. I remember the Delectables. It was great. How long does each food or how long does each artwork takes from beginning to the end? I'm talking about the clothes because you are selecting different clothes, the food, the setting up, the eating, the editing, everything together. How long does it take?
I would say each one took about 8 hours of work to do because I would have to make the food and then I would have to um, figure out how to put it on my face. I would have to set up the photo studio to make sure that I could take a photo correctly, and then also I video a lot of it too. So that alone would take about 3 to 4 hours. The actual eating of it usually only takes 5 to 10 minutes, which is really fun. And then the editing and the minting, that takes up the rest. I also think it's very important to put in some time always to market oneself. So I always make sure there's like 2 hours worth of marketing put into every piece that I create.
I love it. What is your favorite food to wear? And do you have a favorite food to eat?
That's a really fun question. I would say my favorite to eat is pizza. And it is actually quite easy to put pizza on one's face as long as it's cold enough. So it's a good thing that I love cold pizza. So I love it because it's just it, it's a very universal food. Like people immediately recognize what pizza looks like, and when they put it on my face, I think it really shocks and disturbs some people. I remember putting it on my face on during NFT NYC in 2021. And I remember actually meeting Nadia from Pussy Riot, and she was on the street, like waiting in line, like everybody else, to get into an event. And then I just made a pizza mask in front of her, and she recorded me. It was such a fun experience doing that. I think that's the best part about getting into NFTs. I was able to meet all these amazing artists that I've always looked up to. Like there are some down there, like Chris Torres, and I see Omer, and I see Priyanka. These are people I look up to. Oh, Florian is on there too. All these people I respect, and they're here. I see a bunch of regulars as well, and I, really love Pops's work. So being able to connect with them has been amazing.
Yeah, that is an insane benefit of the NFT world. It gives you access to everybody that is in the space. Basically, you have some type of access to them, and this is wonderful. And so enables people socially that maybe they thought they weren't able to get in contact with those people. And I love it, and I saw it with myself. I never thought I would have uh, like decent connections in the space, but then everybody became big, and yeah, I know some people now. So yeah, it's really fun how NFTs do that, and it's amazing networking people and bringing people together. It's amazing. You mentioned pizza, man. Like I love pizza too. I wanted when I was sailing in the Caribbean. We had the chef on the boat, of course. She was making really, really amazing stuff. But when we were not working, we were always looking for good pizza. And it was impossible to find it in the Caribbean. Sorry, people, but yeah, the pizza there is awful. And I wanted to write a guide about where are the good pizza restaurants in all of the Caribbean, because I tried them all, man, all from the USVI down to Grenada, like almost everything,
That would
crazy.
be an amazing guide. Yeah, you could totally do it into like an Anthony Bourdain style too, right?
Caribbean pizza guide. But yeah, you said NFT NYC, and I have watched a lot of videos of you on and content that you have attending live conferences, and you do some performance art there. I have seen you with some paper. I can't remember what it was writing. Someone stole it from you, but yeah, there have been crazy stuff happening during your live performances on NFT events. What have been some sort of like highlights you can recall?
Oh yeah, I've gotten in a lot of trouble during my live performances. I think the first was I wrote all these signs saying buy NFTs, get rich, and I put on these food masks and I stood outside of the um, I think the first one was the Guggenheim, and they kicked me out immediately, but I stuck around anyway. Then then the police came, and you don't want to mess with NYPD cops. So then we went to the Met and did the exact same thing. And I also went to the MoMA. And at the MoMA, I was handing out POAPs. I was actually the first artist outside of the POAP team to use the POAP in an art setting. So I did that, and I remember people just being generally confused because they were still not, they didn't know what NFTs were. And then the ones that did, I think, were scoffing it. And then there were some people who were supportive. The incident you're talking about was I was in the Board API Club um, line to pick up my ticket to go to the yacht uh, party. But I basically held up a sign saying "Apes go home" with the Amazon McDonald's sign.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I remember.
Yeah, and this guy was so mad at me. He pulled the sign off my hand and he ran off. But I thought it was interesting, so I actually minted it. I minted the video of the guy doing that.
Yeah, that was so fun. I remember it. And did you make it to the yacht?
I did, and
How
speaking of pizza, they didn't have food at the first Board A Yacht Club yacht party. So,
how was at the yacht party? How was it?
it was cold and also there was no food. So, with like only 5 minutes to go, I ordered like $100 worth of pizzas, um, and I jumped on the boat and I tried to feed as many people as I could because that's my thing. If you're around me, I will feed you.
Well, so you jumped on the boat and no food, but you had one mask with you, and then you jumped off. You ate it, went got pizzas, fed the whole yacht, right?
Yeah, that's basically what I did. I got on the boat. I was on the boat. We were stuck there for like a couple hours. At least people had some pizzas,
All right, that's crazy. Do you have videos of that, or just the guy stealing the sign?
Oh, just the guy stealing the sign. I don't think I had any videos of the party that I can recall, but we did drink a lot of vodka. So I think there might be one video of me dancing with Ikat dance, and she's wearing this LED outfit, and I was pretty, having fun.
Are all the photographs and all the artworks that you are making, are they all foods that you like to eat? Have you ever wore dishes that you've never tried before? Have the masks, making the masks, opened you to more culinary experiences?
Yes, I'm definitely learning every single time I make the masks. So my most difficult one was somebody asked for paella, and I explained that I'm actually allergic to shellfish, so I can't put real shrimp in there. And they were like, "That's okay." So I tried to do it, and then I didn't realize how I offended this person because the rice I used was the wrong type of rice, even though I used the correct recipe and used saffron. So they were really mad at me, and I started to
Who
realize,
was mad at you for using the wrong rice? Was it Uncle Roger or something,
oh, Uncle Roger, what a great guy.
This
Seriously.
is the only person I would imagine would be mad at you for using the wrong rice.
Oh no, I know how to make fried rice, so Uncle Roger would not be
Okay.
disappointed by me. But I'm obviously not Spanish, and I don't know Spanish food.
Hmm.
So when I try to attempt something that's so important to people, specifically this guy who lives in Barcelona, like he was really mad at me. So of course, then I understood a lot actually about how important food is to our identity.
Ah, man, if you go to Barcelona, every paella you eat, it's different and it's the original, Like, nobody knows what's actually in fucking paella.
I
It's
agree. Yeah.
whatever they put in, it is whatever they put in, And yeah, it's fun, it's fun. But I find it really, really funny that someone was offended by the type of rice.
It's a common thing, I think, with food influencers. Sometimes they exoticize certain foods, and then the way they describe them is so funny. And it's like, dude, if you like what you said, if you just go to Barcelona, everybody just eats paella, whatever they serve, you know.
Do you have any favorite chefs or any food personalities that you follow?
Well, I was really lucky, and Chef Spike Mendelsohn ended up following me and like collecting some of my work, and I was just like, I
Who?
watched
Who?
you on
Who?
TV.
Who?
Chef Spike Mendelsohn. He's been on TV a lot, actually. And also Tom Colicchio. The two of them have been on television a lot. And they,
And they collect NFTs?
yes, and they collected mine. And I was just so happy and so proud.
Wow, that's excellent, man. Can they make fried rice?
You know what's funny? They made paella in front of me.
Oh, did they use the right rice on paella then?
Yeah, Chef Spike used the right
Okay.
paella.
Okay, okay. Our friend will be happy then. He will be relaxed. um, Creating food related pieces gives you like infinite imaginations. Is there any ingredient that you have never been able to get that you would like to work with?
That is a really, really good question. Um, so there's this like I think it might be a Russian cake made out of meringue that I've always wanted to have access to, but I can't make it. Um, Let me look it up what it is. A Kiev cake? Yeah. Anyway, it's made out of meringue, and I just can't make it because I don't have access to it here. And I've always wanted to try it out and put it on my face. And then
I never thought there would be food that would not exist in New York. It has everything.
I agree. It's just that I haven't been able to find it yet. But
Mm.
anyway, like I'm gonna try to look for it. And it's just, it's little things like that. But you're right. Actually, I've been very lucky because I do live in New York City. And whenever I had a chance to like find something I can't find, I just ask around and somebody figures it out. So I've been able to look for things and find them pretty fast.
Yeah. Uh, uh, is there any other ingredient except the cake?
So ingredients wise, there is one. It's from this area in China that's in the south, and it's like this really weird um, vegetable that looks like it has
Hmm.
dew on top of it, and it can only be found in the mountains uh, of Yunnan. So I have to like climb in the Yunnan province to pick up
Mm.
this leaf, and I think it's very special because it's the only leaf that this caterpillar eats, and that caterpillar is also very special because that caterpillar, when it gets this fungal infection, it turns into a zombie caterpillar, and then it actually becomes a fungus. So it's like the Last of Us fungus, and it
Is
becomes a zombie.
is the caterpillar edible?
Yes, the caterpillar is also edible. So I would also like to maybe one day put that on because it's the only animal that turns into a fungus. Like it actually is part of the life cycle of this caterpillar. But that's actually a very expensive material, so I don't know if
Mm.
I'd be able to make an entire mask out of it.
Yeah, I was researching as one does where do strawberries come from, and I went into a weird rabbit hole about origins of every vegetable and fruit I could think of, and like 90% comes from China. Not like modern China. I mean, like it has been created there as species, in all the regions that belong to China. So agriculturally, it's responsible for almost everything, man.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think most flowering plants come from China. So
mm,
I lived in Shanghai for 3 years when I was teaching there, and I had experienced so many different types of food that I never thought I would ever eat. It was such a crazy experience, amazing
mm.
experience, and sometimes also a little bit disgusting. But like I still ate it.
Was the Chinese food better in China or in New York?
Oh, this is the funny thing. You can get New York style Chinese food in Shanghai.
I watched a video about it. I watched a video. Oh, I cannot remember, but it was about this how like the cultural export becomes a cultural import at some point, and it was really interesting. I think that's an example of it, right?
Yeah, so American Chinese food in Shanghai was an exotic thing, and it was more expensive than every other restaurant. And it was such a fun experience for me because I sometimes had nostalgia for American style Chinese food, like General Tso's chicken and things like that. So we
Mm.
would go to these restaurants in China eating American Chinese food.
Yeah, man. I'm from Greece, so we have a really strong cuisine growing up. So I wasn't really exposed to other cuisines, but Asian and Chinese is like probably some of my favorite. Okay, Japanese, okay, Korean too, but everything Asian, I really really enjoy, and I'm sad I found it on my after I became 25 years old. I never tried it before, but now it's amazing. Everywhere I go, what is this? I'm gonna eat it, whatever it is. I'm gonna try it.
Yeah, that's lovely. And everybody eats, so everybody has a different way of eating, and every culture has their own style. So it's really great.
I love it that talking about your art and everything that you do involves so much talking about food, right?
I
it's
know it's like it's
it's so
become my
connected.
identity.
Yeah, I've known some restaurants where they use ingredients and create a piece of art on the table when they are serving it. And you take a photo or you admire it and then you eat it. Have you heard about that?
So I have actually eaten at the Noma, which is an amazing restaurant. It's like the best restaurant at the time at the year in Copenhagen. And the entire experience was amazing. It was like an 18-course meal. There was wine paired for everything. Um, and the only reason I got there is actually because I was in Shanghai and I remember going into a speakeasy, and the speakeasy was a barber shop. I sat down on this chair and then I asked for the Natalie. That's what I remember, Natalie. And they spun me around and opened this door to a small bar. I go in and there's only one seat left, so I sat there. And then this guy comes in and he's like looking around and he didn't seem to know anybody. So I said, "Hey, come on over and hang out with us." And I guess he was just really grateful I was nice to him. And he said, "Meet me in Copenhagen in June of this year." And I said, "Okay, sure." And I did. And we ended up going to the Noma, and they actually had literal ants on a literal log that I ate off of. And they had all these like crazy things that like I couldn't believe. They had these globules that were like, they looked like they were marbles, and I put them in my mouth, and it melted into like this gelatinous like
Is it
thing.
molecular? Is it molecular cuisine?
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
the Noma is an amazing restaurant, and they're very well
Mm.
known for this. So these are like experiments beyond belief, you know. But it's yeah, a mixture of chemistry, gastronomy, and also art, right? So the things I put on the table, they look so beautiful, and I ate them, and I remember being just like floored. I still hold the recipe card, the not recipe card, the menu that they gave me. And I think this is actually why NFTs and food will work really well someday. Somebody will figure it out because sometimes we have these amazing experiences of these amazing meals that we don't want to forget. And NFTs are really good actually at tokenizing these moments in time.
Yeah, like we can sell the Red Lion cookbook with Foodmasku
I would love
recipes.
that. Let's do it.
You know, not cooking recipes, Foodmasku recipes. You know,
Yeah,
how to
basically
cook
the
the bacon in order to wear it.
that's hilarious. Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But there's definitely ways that chefs and culinary professionals can come into the NFT space. I don't see why not, man. Like, I'm watching so much culinary content on YouTube, even about stuff that I don't really care. It's just that the chef is really fun, or it's Uncle Roger or someone. It's just funny stuff. Definitely, it will come to NFTs. How have NFTs changed your life?
They have allowed me to become a full-time artist. I was already doing art for a while. Like my first exhibit ever was when I was 15 years old, and I sold my first artwork, sold it like in 2011. But between the those years, like I never made a more than $25 really. Like even with big sales, I would have to put a lot in to get something out of it, you know. I would have to rent the gallery, I would have to rent storage if it doesn't sell, and I would have to um, print out all these invites, and you know, if it's a printed piece, I would actually have to print it out and ship it somewhere. So when NFTs came, and I sold my first one within 48 hours of minting, and I realized that's it. I don't have to do anything. And not only that, I can track where it goes because my Genesis piece was sold to Jen Stein in in March of 2021. And then less than a year later, one of my heroes, Kevin Abosch, who had actually minted his blood onto Ethereum, he collected it for way more than the original price. So I know where it went, and I also receive royalties off of it. So that's a big deal. I remember actually, Red Lion, you collected a lot of my work on Known Origin, and I sold a lot of them very low, very early. But then the secondary sales kept going, and you know, I think the volume of secondary sales is either double or the same or the primary, and I was able to benefit off of that, and I was able to continue. So I actually was able to quit my job as a professor and do art full time. So it's been an amazing experience. I never thought I would be able to do it, and I'm able to live now in New York City as an artist off of my craft. And I never ever imagined that it would be possible. I know that right now it's a little bit of a downturn in the markets. I hope you're doing well, Lion, and I hope everybody else is as well. But I was able to continue living this lifestyle because I made enough in 2021, and I made sure that I took aside a little bit to support myself for times like this. So yeah, it's changed my life.
That is wonderful to hear, man, and I love it. And I cannot explain to people who are not into NFTs how NFTs have changed so many lives, mine included. And as you said, you never thought you would be able to make money out of your art. It seems such a huge wall such a huge barrier to overcome for every artist. It just seems like, okay, I am a nobody, I can do art. Everybody, basically, if they want, they can do it. And look, all these guys, they are into the art world, they are connected, they know everybody. And how do I get there? And here comes NFTs and say, fuck all that, you don't need that. All you need is a computer, a little bit of gas, and a lot of talent, and there you are. And this is so liberating and cannot be emphasized enough how many people it lifted and gave them the opportunity to succeed, set them up for success. And I believe that is something wonderful. I never thought I would be able to have a project like that, and create in general, create so having this opportunity definitely makes me also feel grateful. And people who have never been into NFTs, they always are negative about NFTs, but they have never ever experienced anything like that.
I also think it's very telling of our society that they don't necessarily believe that artists deserve this kind of money, this kind of support, right? Sometimes it's unsaid, but like, I think that's actually a big part of it. I don't think people actually
Yeah, people aren't
believe.
educated enough to understand what is art. Like, people are happy to go pay $20 ticket to a concert to an artist that will make, I don't know, 10 millions from this concert ticket, and it's absolutely fine. But when someone sells something for a little bit more than they want to pay for it, they get so anxious. And also, it's such a weird dynamic, and the what I'm trying to say is that in the NFT space there's like extremes, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually, I think a lot of it also comes to mind with. I think I didn't want to go into NFTs at first because of all the negative stereotypes I hear about people in crypto. And unfortunately, in the last month, a lot of the stereotypes are being strengthened by bad actors in the space, people who are um, basically stealing from others. So it's really uncomfortable sometimes for me to explain, like, that's true, that does exist, but there's also this little corner of the crypto universe where artists are supporting artists and artists are really taking care of themselves by doing this. So I think we are changing paradigms. I think it's going to take a long time, and I think it's only the beginning. So I don't believe that just because crypto can be used as a tool to steal from others doesn't mean that that's why crypto exists, right? I do now understand better, and I agree with you that education is a big important part of it.
Yeah, and sorry, I got distracted there. I had to I had to plug in because I didn't want to run out of battery. But yeah, man, absolutely. And there's there's not enough education around, like, people are just looking at the result, and this is it. This is it. Okay, it took him 8 hours to make. It costs $120. Like, this is all bullshit. How an artist prices their work and what is worth, it's nobody knows, basically. And people don't see the artists studying, painting in their rooms forever, drawing or performing their art or whatever they do. They just see that, like, 8-minute artwork, or, like, that JPEG or that GIF. And yeah, they are like, okay, how much work went into this, so they don't take
Yeah.
into effect any compounding that should take place. And yeah, it's sad sometimes to see that.
Yeah, but I'm used to it. It's kind of funny. Like I'm so used to people coming after me for that part, because like the first time I went viral with that 3 million, actually 1.5 million view video, people started attacking me, being like, "This is art," like people started saying things like, you should go on DoorDash and get a job there instead of spending your time doing this. And I thought it was actually pretty funny because like, why does it bring that much emotion in people, right? So I am one of those people who don't necessarily believe that art has to be beautiful or that art has to be positive. But when it does bring up feelings in somebody, that is usually a sign of good art. And the way I can describe it is one time I was walking through a gallery space and I saw this piece that was just a television set that was just showing static. And I thought, well, why is this doing here, And then I remember not forgetting it and like going back to it again and again and thinking like, why do I keep looking at this Namjoon Paik piece? Like I didn't know who he was before. And then I realized like that's good art. It made me like really consider it. It wouldn't leave my head. It's just one of those things that my one of my professors from undergrad taught me. It's something ineffable. You can't describe it in words. So it's that feeling that I always try to get out of people. Like I'm trying to make something ineffable, and if you can't describe it to others, you just have to see this, Then that's something that I accomplished.
Let me take you somewhere else now. There are several LGBTQ plus artists in the space. This representation for the space is really important. How did you feel about this diversity present in the community?
I first was worried because, anytime I go into a new space as an openly out gay man, I'm always worried that there are people who are going to be fascist or are going to attack me based on that. But at the same time, I'm also a full grown adult that's already experienced a lot of that and knows how to fight back. So, one of the most important things that I think people need to do in a space is just to give queer artists and LGBTQI plus artists the space and time, and to not also pressure them to have to represent an entire queer culture. So, like, I don't represent every gay person, right? But I do um, show myself as who I am, and I think that's an important thing because sometimes um, people have never met an out gay person before in their lives. Like I told you, I was a professor in NYU Shanghai, and I was also a professor in the Fulbright program in Indonesia. In both those cultures, very few people are out and openly gay. So I was there and I was just being myself, and I never denied who I was. And I think it changed a lot of people's minds, including my colleagues, So I think it's an important thing to acknowledge. It doesn't necessarily change how I do my art, but I do have references to it. For example, when I got into Super Rare and they invited me to um, be in their show this past June, I started to make these food sculptures that were, little nods to the queer community. So I did one where it was hot dogs and all the materials are raw, and I called it raw dog, which is like a reference to something that gay men culture understand very well. So it's little inside jokes like that.
No,
So
raw dog is quite universal, isn't
is it now?
it?
Okay, cool.
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
Well, yeah. So I made a raw dogging NFT, and like I felt this more comfortable. I will admit, like when I'm with other queer artists, I feel much more comfortable and open about talking about these things. But it's also very important, like I said, to allow queer artists to be themselves, and like we all have our faults, like every human does. But like it's sometimes scary to be in that situation because you're worried that um, you might misrepresent an entire group of people, you know? So just because I have faults doesn't mean that everybody that's similar to me has faults as well.
Through your career in arts academia, what are some artists, chefs, or people that have inspired you in any respect?
So the number one person I need to shout out is Melati Suryadarmo. I think she is actually one of the most important contemporary artists that's alive right now. And she got famous by dancing on butter while this drummer drums nonstop for hours. You know, she just danced on butter. But she's like wearing this beautiful, sexy black dress and all these like
Dance
very
on
fine.
butter.
Yes, the butter
Did she
dance.
fall? Did she fall?
A lot.
Okay,
But
all
she's
right,
trained
okay.
in Buto.
All
she's a
right.
she's a trained dancer, and her mentor is Marina Abramovich. So she knows how to endure things. So I guess those are the two artists that really I consider myself to have been mentored by Malati. So those are artists that I look up to and respect, and to be part of that lineage is so important.
All right. I think that's very interesting, man. Dancing on butter. I would like to see that. That sounds hilarious.
Oh yeah,
Um,
she got famous on YouTube. You can look it up. Malati Surya Dharma Butter Dance. You can find it.
oh, oh, definitely. I'll be looking it up. I don't know, Dudley, if you want to jump in, if you have any questions so far.
Yeah. Uh, are you planning to visit Indonesia in any near future? And what's your favorite Indonesian dish or food?
I would say my favorite Indonesian dish is nasi tumpeng. It's rice with
Rice, yeah.
cumin, yeah, but
Mm.
also it has like a lot of other things, and it's usually reserved for things like birthdays and things like that. I would love to go back to Indonesia soon. Right now,
They
it's
passed those weird laws right now, right?
Is
exactly right
can
now
you
it's
go
scary.
like there, or how is the situation now?
The situation is very difficult. I never expected anything like this to happen in my lifetime, but I also have a lot of
Yeah.
faith. So I don't know. I can go. Um, you know, it's just really weird. There were also already weird rules to begin with. Like you have to say that your religion when you go to Indonesia, and there are only 6 respected religions,
Oh
and
man.
Judaism is not one of them. So, and atheism is definitely not one of them. So, if you're an atheist in Indonesia, you're already doing something illegal. You know.
Okay, so I have to pick one of the 6 before I visit.
Yeah.
Or
No, I
Yes.
really love Indonesia. I was dating Indonesian girl, and I spent like over a month in the middle Java, and I enjoyed.
Dudley, these are recorded. Waifu will listen.
Waifu will not listen. She's okay. She's over it. She's waifu in the end, you know. So she's the
Okay.
winner.
She got the
But
prize.
no, I really love soto ayam, and I was tried to say something, but I lost my mind. But
It's
it's fine.
okay. I would
It's
like
fine.
Yeah.
to thank you, Foodmasku, for being here with us today. It was a brilliant chat. Thank you so much for coming in. And thank you also for collaborating with us on the Gazette super early on that we did.
Of course, I love it, and
It's a
congrats to
classic.
everybody.
Yeah, classic in the
Yeah,
collection.
I love it. Yeah, the bagel mask. I can't believe that like people are still holding strong to that. Thank you for holding.
Yeah, I I still have it, and even though I cannot eat bread now, I'm on a keto diet. I still love it, and I miss bread. Definitely will eat some nice bread in Austria when I visit now soon.
Yeah.
But
Perfect. I know what
yes,
I wanted to ask. Just
yeah.
last simple question.
Okay, just
Do you like durian?
I love durian. It's not
Yeah.
everybody's
Oh
favorite, but I
man.
love it. Do you like durian, Dudley?
Well, I wouldn't say so. I think it's
I don't blame
forbidden
you.
even to take with you on a plane or something. Yeah, it's so
Is it
smelly,
something
man.
like the Vegemite of Indonesia or something?
Oh,
It's
it's even
super
worse.
smelly, man. It's like, I mean,
It's the
it tastes
stinkiest fruit.
okay, but it's the smell is awful. You can
Okay.
even smell if you're going behind some van, carrying this shit. You can
Okay.
smell it. It's so intense. All
I
right,
need to try it. All
you
right.
need to.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being here with us. Thank you so much, guys, for listening to this conversation. This has been wonderful. We have tomorrow Bonafide Han, founder of Deca.art. Thank you so much, Dudley. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Foodmasku. Take good care. Bye bye.
Thank
Bye,
you, everyone,
everyone. Thanks for
guys.
being here.
Have a great one.